Everyone is here!
Everyone is here! You know, men used to fight in wars. What makes gaming so unique compared to every other form of media is that with a movie or a TV show, I know that I'm gonna get at least a few hours of content out of it. But with a video game, I know that if I like it enough, I'm gonna put at least 100 hours into it. And that's what makes the wait for a new game so exciting for many. The promise of hours of valuable content. An experience that will stick with you for a lifetime. And that is the beauty of the hype culture. I'd argue that a lot of the iconic games today wouldn't hit as hard if it didn't have a bunch of hype building up to it. Like, they'd still be good, but imagine if Tears of the Kingdom dropped one day, no build up or nothing. It just wouldn't hit the same without the 5-year-long wait, you know? Hype culture is both a blessing and a curse, in that a release of a game can be so much more magical of an experience, or it can give you trust issues that will last for a lifetime. I mean, getting cheated on is bad, yeah, but I play Sonic games at launch, which is why I got cheated on. So let's go through the different phases of a hype cycle to see why sometimes the anticipation for the game can sometimes be better than the final product. Starting with what's arguably the peak, these don't show much of anything really, no gameplay, nothing. It's usually like a cinematic trailer to tell us, yep, this is a thing. See you in 2 years. But that power that comes from the unknown is what makes these teasers so memorable. If it's a new IP, you have no idea what to expect, so you try to relate it to the games that you have played before. That Starfield teaser only showed us like a logo in a dream, and we knew nothing about it. All we knew is that it was being made by the same people that made Skyrim and Fallout. I mean, who knows, this might be the greatest game of all time. It was not the greatest game of all time. Or if it's a new entry in an already beloved franchise, people at least know what to expect from the final product. Like with the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser, we now know that it's being made by the same people that made Starfield. Okay, teasers aren't usually like these, they usually show more than this. I like how every Halo reveal trailer has you guessing what the trailer is for most of it until like at the very end you see Master Chief and then you go, oh, it's a new Halo. If only I had an Xbox. Or the first reveal of Breath of the Wild being like this open field and seeing Link being chased by this giant machine. And we didn't know what the game was gonna be, except that it was gonna be open world and it is gonna be the last beacon of hope for the Wii U. And really, Nintendo as a whole, it was not a good period for them. And compare the attitude for Breath of the Wild to the teaser of Tears of the Kingdom, now having some insight of what it will be like. From being skeptical of what an open world Zelda would be like, to being hyped up to have more of that. Whether it's a teaser that shows a logo, or a teaser that shows barely any gameplay, the main goal of a reveal is to get viewers hooked on a concept. Like, you know that one meme that has those 4 guys cheering? Yeah, that one. This is one of my favorite images, and not a lot of people know that the origins of this is their actual reactions to the Zelda Twilight Princess reveal, which to this day probably has the biggest reaction out of anything in E3. I can't think of a better reveal trailer than Grand Theft Auto 6, not showing any gameplay but tells us everything we need to know, who we're playing as, where the game takes place, how pretty everything looks. Everyone knows how big of a technical leap GTA 5 was, so the idea of a next-gen GTA being bigger and better than it, pre-orders ain't even up and I already bought a few copies, don't ask. So while the hype is as big as it can be, that's why it's important to nail that second trailer. This trailer is different from every other trailer that follows it because this is where the company shows their full hand. This is what they show what the game is about. And this is usually the make or break point of a hype cycle. If people want hype before it, they need to be when this drops. Elden Ring was first revealed in 2019 with no gameplay whatsoever, and it left people excited and wondering how an open world Dark Souls would even work. Come 2 years later, yes really, and we get a brand new trailer showing off a bunch of new gameplay stuff. The bosses, the world, the mount you're riding on, a jump button. Those who were skeptical of Elden Ring were now fully on board with what the game has to offer. Some of my favorite second trailers are the Mario Odyssey one, which showed that you can control different enemies and the music was like really good too. And the Skyrim second trailer with the teaser didn't show much, but the official trailer had the iconic and the main theme kicks off, and dude, every time I see this trailer, I buy another copy of Skyrim. You got me, Bethesda. But my favorite one is without a doubt the Everybody Is Here trailer for Smash Ultimate. Usually for fighting games, people had to think about who is the new character that was going to come and who is going to get replaced or who's not going to be in the next one. This trailer put those fears to rest. Every past character from every Smash game is coming back. And if you thought they were bullshitting, they showed Pichu was back. So for those of you who don't know who Pichu is, this is actually the worst character in any game ever. Until the game came out. Then he became the greatest character of all time! And then the game got patched. He's okay now. This trailer even made me excited that Wolf was coming back, before I remembered, wait a minute, I hate Spaceys! Some of the most iconic trailers of all time have come from these second trailers, and this is what gets the hype train going. We now know what to expect on release, so nothing's stopping us from getting our expectations blown through the roof. So after the last two phases, the reveal and the second trailer, we then move on to the next phase. This phase can happen at any time, and how long it lasts varies. It could be 1 month, or 2 months, or 8 years. What planet am I on? Is this hell? Why does Satan look like Todd Howard? This is that gap between the second trailer and the release that keeps the hype going. And every new trailer that comes out, every new article, every new commercial is putting more coal in the hype train to keep it moving. All of the speculation of how big the game will be,
16 times the detail.
What new mechanics are going to be added, companies dropping playtests to have you play the game early. All of that just to remind people that the game is coming out soon. We'll be at the promised land soon enough. Some of my favorite things in gaming is getting to see all of the unique kind of marketing that companies do to advertise their game. Like Rockstar putting up actual wanted posters of the GTA 4 characters to promote GTA 4. Or with every Nintendo Direct announcement, you just know there's going to be another Smash character revealed. Halo 2 trailers would hide a link to a website titled ilovebees.co, which led to a whole ARG that had people deciphering secret messages on the website and going to coordinates that led to payphones with their own secret messages to decode, which all culminated with a handful of players getting invited to a cinema to play Halo 2 early. The shit is crazy is what I'm getting at. That's the point what I'm trying to make. But with every info drop, there comes a bit of controversy with it. There's always something about a new release that people find out, or the company just flat out tells them, hey, you know that Final Fantasy VII remake that we showed off? Yeah, it's only gonna be remaking the Midgar portion of the game, which is only like 5 to 6 hours of the 40-hour game. Hey, you know how the flagship title of the next-gen Xbox console, Halo Infinite, is supposed to be a showcase of how graphically intensive our games can be now? This is what our enemies look like. I honestly don't see an issue with this. I'm not really a big graphics guy. It really can just be one thing that sets everybody off, and can quickly shift the discussion from meaningful conversations to constant arguments. If you're excited for this game, then congrats! You're the reason why the gaming industry is dying. Dude, you should have seen the tone shift in discussion with Pokemon Sword and Shield before and after E3. From how everybody was excited to play the first HD mainline Pokemon game on a console, to declaring Game Freak as one of the worst companies of all time.
Easy F.
There are actual gaming companies that steal titty milk that are seen as better than Game Freak. Shit is wild out here. But depending on how serious these controversies are, they're not usually enough to derail the hype train. It's like no matter how many controversies that Kanye has, people will still be bumping to his new album. So ironically, how we started the video with the peak of the hype, we then get to the valley of the hype. So the unfortunate truth of a lot of hype cycles, especially in modern times, is that the end product more often than not never lives up to the hype. Now this could be for a couple reasons. Maybe the game shipped unfinished, it's full of bugs, nobody can actually play it on the console. With how much money and resources game companies put into a title and never really having enough time to finish it, this is usually the most likely outcome. Cyberpunk 2077 was both famous and infamous for its hype cycle, with the game getting revealed in 2013 and finally coming out 7 years later. The amount of backlash the game got, it was the first time that I saw Xbox and PlayStation pull a game like that off of its digital storefront. But usually with these releases, the company can go back and fix the game. Now whether it's ethical to sell the game in this state or not, that's a discussion for another day. But CD Projekt Red did fix it, I got the game, and I love it. Now another common scenario is that the company lied about the stuff that's gonna be in the game, or stretched the truth a little. Another infamous release was No Man's Sky, a game that promised so much before release, which fueled the hype train into overdrive, and pretty much disappointed anybody who was unfortunate enough to buy it. Now like before, the company could fix it. No Man's Sky is now seen as the poster boy for a good space game, but it was still a very disappointing game on release. And the most common and most unfortunate reason, the game just didn't meet the fans' expectations. Unlike Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky, you can't really fix this. The company can add as many new features and DLCs as they want, but it's not really gonna fill the void of what the fans wanted out of it. Honestly, to this day, I can't think of a game more controversial on release than The Last of Us Part 2. The game's not buggy or anything, this is probably the most polished game I've seen ever. But the way the first game ended, to how the second game follows up on that story, yeah, people were a little pissed. To this day, people argue about if this game was good or not. It won Game of the Year, it's critically acclaimed, but if you ask a random guy on the street what they think of it, they might tell you to run your pockets. So if most game releases don't live up to the hype that it cultivates, then what's the point of getting excited for any game? But look, you gotta understand, the reason why we still get excited for stuff, the reason why is because of those very, very rare instances where the game lives up to the hype. Now I mentioned Elden Ring a little bit ago, but I never actually followed that hype cycle for it. I wasn't even a Souls fan during that point. But I remembered that on the day the game launched, I was at a game store trying to check out Metroid Dread. And as I was going to check it out, I saw Elden Ring on the shelf, and I thought to myself, a lot of people have been talking about this game, and it's probably gonna win Game of the Year. But I've never played a Souls game before. Fuck it. Instead of getting the game that I knew I'd like, I instead spent my $60 on a game that before I played it, I would have put money on that I would have hated it off rip, just based off the hype surrounding the game. And because of that hype, I ended up loving Elden Ring, and I went back and ended up loving most of the Souls games. You can't convince me Dark Souls 2 is good, I'm sorry. I would have never gotten to experience games like Bloodborne, or Dark Souls 3, or Sekiro, or Elden Ring if it wasn't for the hype culture building up Elden Ring as the next greatest thing of all time. So what's the point of this video? What am I getting at? The point is, while hype culture can bring a lot of disappointment for a lot of people, it's those rare instances where our expectations are met or even exceeded that really cements a game into history. Halo 3, Smash Bros. Brawl, GTA 5, the fucking Nintendo Wii. All of these things that people wish they were at the midnight launch for, to say that they were there when the game came out. Landmarks in video game history, not just because of how good they are, but because of all the build-up and excitement surrounding them. So while hype culture can be a curse, and that it does often lead to disappointment, it can sometimes be a blessing, in that when the Elden Ring DLC finally drops, and after a few years later I look back at the old trailers and marketing, it reminds me how special video games are, and what they mean to me.
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather. Or I don't know, that thing. That magic.
The game made almost $1 billion in sales in just the first 24 hours.
GTA 5 is the best single-player game I've played in years.
Halo 3 is the most highly anticipated video game of all time, and with good reason.
There is no better title in this series to represent Halo than Halo 3.
We're just moments away from midnight, November 9th, and the launch of what is perhaps one of the most anticipated console video games of all time. I'm going to step aside and let these guys tell you what it is.
Welcome to the next generation of open-world adventure. Immerse yourself in Cyberpunk 2077.
You're doing this for the planet, same as us.
Not interested.
It lives up to the hype. Elden Ring is nothing shy of a landmark achievement for From Software. The game is absolutely amazing.
The PlayStation 2. What people will do for a little entertainment from it.
One of those things been waiting for forever. Finally comes. One thanks.
know what it does. It enables a nigga to continue to service his boys. The niggas that be watching, the viewership that supports him, this helps me to even go further to produce and to do shit. I mean, look what the boy did, nigga. I don't give a fuck, nigga. I don't give a fuck, nigga. Look at it. Oh shit. Oh shit. I don't give a fuck, nigga. Oh, Joy-Con boys. Joy-Con boys. Oh shit, Christine, I'm gonna